The fluorescent lights of Chicago General Hospital flickered as Olivia Bennett sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair outside the pediatric ward. Her daughter Sophie had fallen asleep an hour ago, but Olivia couldn't bring herself to leave. She watched through the window as her little girl's chest rose and fell, the monitors beeping steadily beside the bed. 7 years old. And Sophie had already endured more than most people faced in a lifetime. Olivia's phone buzzed with another notification. She didn't need to look to know what it was. Another overdue bill? Another payment plan she couldn't afford? Another reminder that no matter how many shifts she worked at the coffee shop and the grocery store, it would never be enough. The new treatment Sophie needed cost more than Olivia made in 2 years. Without it, the doctors gave her daughter 6 months. Maybe less. She pressed her palms against her tired eyes, fighting back tears. Crying wouldn't help. Crying wouldn't save Sophie. Nothing would unless a miracle walked through those hospital doors. An unexpected encounter at midnight. Olivia finally forced herself to leave. She needed to sleep before her morning shift started at 5. The hospital corridors were quiet except for the soft padding of nurses' shoes and the distant hum of medical equipment. She was heading toward the elevator when she heard raised voices coming from the administrative office. "I don't care what your policy is. Find a way to make it work." The voice was deep, commanding, and laced with frustration. Olivia quickened her pace, not wanting to get involved in whatever drama was unfolding. But as she passed the partially open door, she caught a glimpse of the man inside. He was tall, with dark hair that touched his collar, wearing an expensive navy suit that probably cost more than her rent. His jaw was set in determination as he spoke to the flustered administrator behind the desk. "Mr. Pierce, I understand your generosity, but we can't simply waive the waiting list for the new oncology wing. There are protocols, and change the protocols. I'm offering to fund the entire expansion. Surely that gives me some influence." Olivia stopped walking. The new oncology wing was Sophie's only hope. The treatments available there could save her life, but the waiting list was 2 years long. 2 years Sophie didn't have. Before she could think better of it, Olivia knocked on the doorframe. Both men turned to look at her. The administrator frowned, but the man in the suit studied her with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see straight through her exhaustion and desperation. "Can I help you?" the administrator asked impatiently. "I'm sorry to interrupt. I couldn't help but overhear." Olivia's voice was steadier than she felt. "You're Nathan Pierce, aren't you? The real estate developer?" Nathan's expression shifted slightly, surprise flickering across his features. "I am, and you are. Nobody important. Just a mother whose daughter needs that oncology wing." Olivia met his gaze directly. "If you're looking for a reason to push harder, there are 23 children on that waiting list who won't survive long enough to see it open. My Sophie is one of them." Administrator cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Ma'am, this is a private conversation." But Nathan held up his hand, silencing him. He walked toward Olivia, his footsteps echoing in the quiet hallway. Up close, she could see the fine lines around his eyes, the slight shadow of stubble on his jaw. He looked tired, she realized. Tired and troubled. "Tell me about Sophie," he said quietly. The proposal they ended up in the hospital cafeteria. Sitting across from each other at a corner table with cold coffee neither of them touched. Olivia told him everything. About Sophie's diagnosis 6 months ago. About selling everything she owned to pay for the initial treatments. About working 70 hours a week and still drowning in medical debt. About the new treatment that could save Sophie's life, or remained impossibly out of reach. Nathan listened without interrupting, his blue eyes never leaving her face. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that changed everything. "I need a wife." Olivia blinked, certain she had misheard. "Excuse me?" "Not a real wife. A wife on paper." Nathan leaned forward, his voice low and intense. "My father passed away 3 months ago. His will stipulates that I must be married before I turn 35, or his entire estate goes to charity. I have for weeks. It's terrible, but I don't see what I'm offering you a deal, Olivia Bennett." Nathan pulled a business card from his wallet and slid it across the table. "Marry me. Live in my home for 2 years as my wife. In exchange, I'll pay for all of Sophie's medical care, including the new treatment. I'll clear your debts. I'll set up a trust fund for Sophie's future. And when the 2 years are over, you'll receive a divorce settlement of $3 million. Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs. You're insane. Just like you. Nathan's expression was unreadable. I've tried dating. Every woman I meet either wants my money or wants a fairy tale I can't provide. I need someone who understands this is business. Someone with their own reasons for agreeing. Someone like you. You don't even know me. I know you love your daughter enough to work yourself to death trying to save her. I know you're honest enough to tell a stranger the truth about your situation. I know you're strong enough to consider an impossible choice. Nathan stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Think about it. Call me tomorrow. If you agree, we'll have a contract drawn up by the end of the week. He walked away, leaving Olivia alone with his business card and a decision that would change everything. The choice Olivia didn't sleep that night. She lay in her tiny studio apartment, staring at the ceiling and thinking about Nathan Pierce's offer. It was crazy, insane, impossible. It was also Sophie's only chance. At dawn, she made her decision. She picked up her phone and dialed the number on the business card. Nathan answered on the second ring. I'll do it, Olivia said, her voice clear and certain. I'll marry you. There was a pause. Then Nathan's voice came through, warm with something that might have been relief. Meet me at my office at noon. We have arrangements to make, Mrs. Pierce. As Olivia hung up, she looked at Sophie's photo on her nightstand. Her daughter smiled back at her, gap-toothed and full of life. Whatever happened next, whatever price Olivia had to pay, it would be worth it. Sophie would live. That was all that mattered. She had no idea that the contract she was about to sign would lead to something. It's far more complicated than either of them had planned. Love had a way of finding you when you least expected it, even in the most unlikely of arrangements. The penthouse occupied the entire 42nd floor of the Sterling Tower in downtown Chicago. Olivia stood in the entrance with her 2 worn suitcases, feeling completely out of place. Everything gleamed with wealth. The marble floors reflected the afternoon sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Modern art hung on pristine white walls. The furniture looked like it belonged in a museum, not a home where people actually lived. Nathan set down her bags and loosened his tie. He'd been quiet during the car ride from the courthouse where they had signed the marriage papers an hour ago. The ceremony had been brief and businesslike, with only 2 lawyers as witnesses. No flowers, no music, no celebration, just signatures on legal documents that bound them together for the next 2 years. Your room is this way, Nathan said, leading her down a wide hallway. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than her entire former apartment. The king-size bed was dressed in soft gray linens. A sitting area by the window overlooked the city skyline. An en-suite bathroom featured a marble-soaking tub and a shower with multiple heads. This is beautiful, Olivia whispered, running her hand along the smooth dresser. I had fresh linens put in and cleared the closet for your things. Nathan stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. My room is at the opposite end of the penthouse. You'll have complete privacy. There's also a home office you can use, and a library if you enjoy reading. Olivia turned to face him. Where will Sophie stay when she's released from the hospital? For the first time since she had met him, Nathan's expression softened. The room next to yours? I had it decorated, but if Sophie doesn't like it, we can change everything. I wasn't sure what a 7-year-old girl would want. You decorated a room for my daughter? Olivia felt her throat tighten with unexpected emotion. She's part of this arrangement too. I want her to be comfortable here. Nathan cleared his throat, the vulnerability disappearing behind his usual composed mask. Dr. Morrison called this morning. Sophie responded well to the first treatment. They're optimistic about her progress. Olivia pressed her hand to her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. You don't need to thank me. We have an agreement. I'm simply fulfilling my part. But his eyes told a different story. There was something gentle there, something almost kind, beneath the cold businessman exterior. Learning to coexist the first week was awkward. Olivia tiptoed around the penthouse like a guest, afraid to touch anything or make herself at home. Nathan left early for work and returned late, often bringing dinner from expensive restaurants she had never heard of. They ate together at the massive dining table, making stilted conversation about safe topics like the weather and current events. But slowly, things began to shift. It started with breakfast. Olivia woke early out of habit from years of working morning shifts. She found Nathan already in the kitchen, staring helplessly at an expensive espresso machine. His hair was still damp from the shower, and he wore dark slacks with a white dress shirt, the sleeves rolled to his elbows. "Does this thing require an engineering degree?" he muttered, pressing buttons randomly. Olivia laughed, the sound surprising them both. "Let me try." She had worked as a barista during college. Within minutes, she had the machine humming and producing perfect espresso. "There you go." Nathan took the cup gratefully, a small smile playing at his lips. "I usually just buy coffee on the way to work. This is much better. I can make breakfast too if you want. I'm awake anyway. You don't have to do that. We have a housekeeper who comes 3 times a week." "I know I don't have to. I want to." Olivia opened the refrigerator, finding it stocked but clearly unused. "When was the last time someone made you a home-cooked meal?" Nathan was quiet for a moment. "I honestly can't remember." That morning, Olivia made scrambled eggs with herbs, toast, and fresh fruit. They ate together as sunlight flooded the kitchen, and for the first time, the silence between them felt comfortable rather than strained. Small moments. Sophie came home 2 weeks later. Weak but smiling. Her eyes went wide when she saw her new room. Nathan had decorated it with soft pink walls, white furniture, and shelves full of books and stuffed animals. A window seat overlooked the city, perfect for reading or daydreaming. "Is this really mine?" Sophie asked, her voice full of wonder. "All yours?" Nathan said from the doorway. He had left work early to be there when Sophie arrived. "If you don't like anything, we can change it." Sophie ran to him and hugged his legs, nearly knocking him off balance. "It's perfect." "Thank you, Mr. Nathan." Olivia watched Nathan's face transform. The usual cool mask cracked, revealing genuine surprise and pleasure. He awkwardly patted Sophie's head, clearly unused to affection from children. "You're welcome, Sophie. I'm glad you like it." That night, after Sophie had fallen asleep in her new bed, Olivia found Nathan standing by the living room windows, staring out at the glittering city below. She poured 2 glasses of wine and joined him. "You were good with her today," Olivia said softly. "I don't know anything about children. I was afraid I would say something wrong. You didn't. You were kind. That's all that matters." Olivia handed him a glass. "Can I ask you something personal?" Nathan turned to look at her, his blue eyes reflecting the city lights. "We're married. I suppose personal questions come with the territory. Why did your father put that clause in his will, making you get married to inherit?" Nathan's jaw tightened. "He thought I was too focused on work, too isolated. He believed marriage would force me to build a real life instead of just existing." He took a long drink of wine. "The irony is that, even in death, he's controlling my choices. This arrangement is exactly the kind of thing he would have hated. Would you have gotten married eventually? If not for the will, I don't know. My parents had a terrible marriage. My father was never home, always working. My mother resented him for it. They stayed together for appearances, but there was no love there. No warmth." Nathan's voice was quiet, almost distant. "I learned early that marriage was a business arrangement. Love was something that happened in movies, not real life." Olivia's heart ached for the lonely boy he must have been. "My parents loved each other deeply. They didn't have much money, but they had each other. My mom used to say that love was the only thing that made life worth living." She smiled sadly. "She passed away when Sophie was born. Complications from delivery? Sometimes I wish I could ask her advice about all of this." "I'm sorry." Nathan's voice was genuine. "That must have been incredibly difficult." "It was. But Sophie saved me. She gave me a reason to keep going." Olivia looked at him directly. "I know this is just an arrangement, Nathan, but I want you to know that I'm grateful. Not just for the money or the medical care. For giving Sophie a chance at life, that means everything to me." Nathan held her gaze, and something passed between them. An understanding, perhaps, or the first spark of connection between 2 people who had been strangers just weeks ago. "She's a remarkable little girl," Nathan said quietly. "You've done an incredible job raising her." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle like fallen stars. Neither of them noticed how close they were standing, or how natural it felt to share this quiet moment together. Unexpected connections as weeks turned into a month. Their routine became more natural. Nathan started coming home earlier, often arriving in time for dinner. Olivia cooked meals they ate together as a family, with Sophie chattering about her books and the tutors Nathan had hired to help her keep up with school. One evening, Nathan brought home a puzzle. A 1,000-piece landscape of the Swiss Alps. "I used to do these as a kid," he admitted, looking almost embarrassed. "I thought Sophie might enjoy it." They spent hours at the dining table, the three of them working on the puzzle together. Sophie squealed with delight every time she found a piece that fit. Nathan patiently showed her how to sort by color and edge pieces. Olivia watched them with warmth spreading through her chest. Seeing the careful way Nathan interacted with her daughter, the gentle patience he showed. "You're good at this," Olivia said, when Sophie ran off to get her stuffed bear to watch them work. At puzzles? At being part of a family, Nathan's hands stilled over the puzzle pieces. "I'm just following your lead. You're the one who knows how to make a house feel like a home." "We're doing it together," Olivia said, and realized it was true. Without meaning to, they had created something real here. Something that felt less like an arrangement and more like an actual life. That night, after Sophie was tucked into bed, Nathan knocked softly on Olivia's bedroom door. She opened it to find him holding a photo album. "I thought you might want to see these." Pictures of Sophie from the hospital. Dr. Morrison's team documented her progress. He handed her the album, their fingers brushing. "She's responding even better than they hoped. The new treatment is working." Olivia opened the album with trembling hands. There were photos of Sophie smiling despite the 4 lines, of her reading books in the hospital bed, of her first day walking the halls without assistance. Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "She's going to make it," she whispered. "My baby is going to live." Without thinking, she threw her arms around Nathan's neck. He stiffened for just a moment, then his arms came around her, holding her as she cried tears of relief and joy. He smelled like expensive cologne and something uniquely him. His heart beat steady against her ear. When she finally pulled back, embarrassed, Nathan's expression was unreadable. But his eyes were warm, searching her face with an intensity that made her breath catch. "I'm sorry," Olivia stammered. "I didn't mean to. Don't apologize." Nathan's voice was rough. "You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to feel relieved. And you're allowed to celebrate your daughter's recovery." The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither was ready to name. Then Nathan stepped back, clearing his throat. "Good night, Olivia. Sleep well." As he walked away, Olivia touched her lips, wondering when this pretend marriage had started to feel like something more, and wondering what would happen when the 2 years ended and they had to walk away from each other in the quiet of her room. She admitted a truth she wasn't ready to say aloud. She was falling for her husband, her temporary, contracted, soon-to-be's husband, and she had no idea what to do about it. 3 months into their arrangement, an elegant cream envelope arrived at the penthouse. Nathan opened it during breakfast while Sophie drew pictures at the kitchen counter and Olivia flipped pancakes on the stove. She had taken over most of the cooking, finding joy in creating meals for people who appreciated them. Nathan had gained a few pounds, his face less angular than when they first met, and he seemed more relaxed than the tense businessman she had encountered at the hospital. "The Henderson Foundation Gala is next Saturday," Nathan said, reading the invitation. "It's one of the biggest charity events of the year. We should attend." Olivia's spatula clattered against the pan. "A gala? Nathan, I don't know how to act at those kinds of events. I've never even been to anything fancier than a wedding reception at a community hall. You'll be fine." Nathan set down the invitation and met her worried gaze. "Just be yourself. That's all anyone expects." "It's easy for you to say. You grew up in this world." Olivia plated the pancakes with shaking hands. "I grew up in a 3-bedroom house with 4 siblings. We shopped at thrift stores and considered going out to dinner, getting pizza from the place down the street." Nathan stood and crossed to her, gently taking the plate from her hands before she dropped it. "Olivia, listen to me. You're one of the strongest, most genuine people I've ever met. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. The people at this gala, most of them are hiding behind expensive clothes and fake smiles. You're real. That's worth more than all their designer labels combined. Sophie looked up from her drawing. Mama, you'll look beautiful. Mr. Nathan is right. You're the prettiest mama in the whole world. Olivia laughed despite her nerves, ruffling Sophie's hair. Thank you, sweetheart. I suppose if I can survive working 3 jobs and raising you alone, I can survive one fancy party. That's my girl, Nathan said softly, and the approval in his voice made Olivia's heart skip. Preparation the following Tuesday. Nathan surprised Olivia by coming home at lunch. Get your coat. We have an appointment. An appointment for what? You'll see. He took her to an exclusive boutique in the Gold Coast, the kind of place Olivia had only seen in magazines. A personal shopper named Victoria greeted them with air kisses and champagne. For the next 3 hours, Olivia tried on gowns while Nathan sat in a leather chair, offering opinions. Too formal, he said, when she emerged in a structured black dress. Too young, when she tried a short pink cocktail dress. Perfect, when she stepped out in a deep emerald green gown that hugged her curves before flowing to the floor. The back was open, showing a glimpse of skin that made Nathan's eyes darken with appreciation. Are you sure? Olivia turned to see herself in the 3-way mirror. The woman looking back seemed like a stranger, elegant and sophisticated. I'm sure. Nathan stood and walked to her, his reflection joining hers in the mirror. You look stunning. Victoria clapped her hands together. We'll take it. Now, for shoes and accessories. By the time they left the boutique, Olivia felt overwhelmed by the shopping bags Nathan carried. This is too much. The dress alone costs more than I used to make in a month. Consider it part of the arrangement. You need to look the part of Mrs. Nathan Pierce. But his tone was gentle, not businesslike. Besides, I want you to feel confident on Saturday. You deserve to feel beautiful. Olivia stopped on the sidewalk, making Nathan turn back to look at her. Why are you being so nice to me? This wasn't part of our contract. Nathan's expression shifted, something vulnerable flickering across his features. Maybe I'm tired of treating this like just a contract. Maybe I've started to care about your happiness. He looked away, jaw tightening. Maybe that's a mistake. But it's the truth. Before Olivia could respond, he continued walking, leaving her standing on the busy street, with her heart pounding and her mind racing with possibilities she was afraid to consider. The gala Saturday. Evening arrived too quickly. Olivia stood in her bedroom, staring at her reflection. The emerald gown fit perfectly. The hairstylist Nathan had sent transformed her usually simple style into an elegant updo, with soft tendrils framing her face. She barely recognized herself. A knock on her door made her turn. Nathan entered, and the sight of him stole her breath. He wore a perfectly tailored black tuxedo that emphasized his broad shoulders and lean frame. His dark hair was styled back and his blue eyes seemed impossibly bright against the formal attire. You look incredible, he said, his voice rough. So do you. Olivia's cheeks flushed. I'm still nervous. Nathan crossed the room and took her hand, lifting it to his lips. The gentle kiss sent electricity through her entire body. Just stay close to me. We're in this together. In the car ride to the hotel, Nathan explained who would be there. Business associates, old family friends, potential investors. They'll ask questions about how we met. We should have our story straight. What should we say? Let's keep it simple. We'll say we met at the hospital, which is true. That I was immediately drawn to you, which is also true. Nathan glanced at her, his expression unreadable. That I knew within days that I wanted to marry you. Is that part true too? Olivia asked softly. Nathan didn't answer, but his hand found hers in the darkness of the car, his fingers intertwining with hers in a gesture that felt more intimate than any kiss. Under the chandeliers, the ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over hundreds of guests in designer gowns and tuxedos. A string quartet played classical music while waiters circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Olivia felt completely out of her depth, but Nathan's hand on the small of her back steadied her. Good to see you, old man. Silver-haired gentleman approached with a woman dripping in diamonds. And this must be the mysterious bride we've all heard about. Robert, Catherine, this is my wife, Olivia. Nathan's introduction was smooth and confident. Olivia, Robert Henderson, and his wife, Catherine. This is their foundation's gala. Olivia shook their hands, remembering Nathan's advice to just be herself. It's wonderful to meet you. The cause you're supporting tonight, pediatric cancer research, is very close to my heart. My daughter is currently in treatment. Catherine's expression immediately softened. Oh, you poor dear. How is she doing? Much better, thanks to excellent doctors and new treatments. Olivia smiled genuinely. She's 7, and she's the bravest person I know. For the next 20 minutes, they talked about Sophie, about Catherine's own grandson who had survived leukemia, about the importance of research funding. When they finally moved on, Nathan squeezed Olivia's hand. You're perfect. Catherine Henderson is one of the most influential women in Chicago society. You just won her over completely. I was just being honest. Exactly. That's why it worked. Nathan led her onto the dance floor as the quartet began a waltz. Dance with me. Olivia hesitated. I don't know how to waltz. Follow my lead. I've got you. Nathan pulled her close, one hand on her waist, the other holding hers. As they began to move, Olivia stumbled slightly, but Nathan guided her with gentle confidence. Relax. Feel the music. Let me lead you. Gradually, Olivia found the rhythm. They moved together across the polished floor, Nathan's eyes never leaving her face. The ballroom faded away until it felt like they were the only two people in the world. His hand on her back was warm through the thin fabric of her gown. She could smell his cologne, feel the strength in his arms as he held her. You're a natural, Nathan murmured, pulling her closer. I have a good teacher. Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs. Being this close to him felt dangerous and thrilling. Nathan, can I ask you something? Anything. When this is over, when the 2 years are up, what happens to us? Nathan's steps faltered slightly, then resumed. His expression grew guarded. We follow the contract. We divorce amicably. You take your settlement and build a life for yourself and Sophie, and we just walk away from each other. Pretend these 2 years never happened. That was the agreement. But Nathan's voice lacked conviction, and his arms tightened around her as if he couldn't bear to let go. What if I don't want to walk away? Olivia whispered, the words escaping before she could stop them. What if this stopped being pretend for me? Nathan stopped dancing completely. They stood in the middle of the floor, other couples swirling around them. His blue eyes searched her face with an intensity that made her breathless. Olivia, don't. Don't what? Don't fall for you? Too late. Her voice trembled, but she held his gaze. I know this wasn't part of the plan. I know you don't believe in love. But somewhere between the breakfast conversations and the puzzle nights and the way you are with Sophie, I started to fall. And I can't pretend anymore that this is just business. The truth revealed, Nathan released her abruptly and walked off the dance floor. Olivia followed him through the crowd and out onto a private balcony overlooking the city. The cool night air was a shock after the warmth of the ballroom. Nathan stood at the railing, his hands gripping the iron so tightly his knuckles were white. You can't love me, he said without turning around. This was supposed to be simple, clean, a business arrangement that benefits us both. Well, it's not simple anymore. Olivia stood beside him, refusing to back down. I'm sorry if that's inconvenient for you, Nathan, but I can't control how I feel. You don't understand. Nathan finally looked at her, and the raw pain in his eyes made her chest ache. Everyone I've ever cared about has left. My mother walked out when I was 12 because she couldn't stand being married to my father anymore. Every relationship I've tried to build has fallen apart because I'm too focused on work. Too emotionally unavailable, too damaged to love properly. I made this arrangement because it was safe. Because I couldn't get hurt if we both knew it was temporary. But it's not temporary, is it? Olivia reached for his hand. What we've built these past months, that's real. The way you read to Sophie before bed. The way you save me the last piece of chocolate from the box. The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. That's not pretend, Nathan. That's real. I don't know how to do this. Nathan's voice broke. I don't know how to be what you need. You already are. Olivia cupped his face in her hands, making him look at her. You're kind and patient and thoughtful. You make me laugh. You make me feel safe. You've given my daughter a chance at life and given me hope for the first time in years. That's everything I need. Nathan closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. I'm terrified of this, of you, of how much I've come to need you in my life. Then be terrified with me. Olivia smiled through her tears. Because I'm scared too. But I'd rather be scared and in love than safe and alone. In love? Nathan's eyes opened, searching hers desperately. Yes, you stubborn man. I love you. I love your terrible coffee-making skills and your competitive puzzle building, and the way you pretend not to care but always do the right thing anyway. I love you, Nathan Pierce. Contract or no contract. For a long moment, Nathan just stared at her. Then, with a groan that sounded like surrender, he pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was fierce and desperate, months of denied attraction and growing feelings pouring into that single kiss. Olivia melted against him, her hands sliding into his hair, kissing him back with everything she felt. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nathan rested his forehead against hers. I love you too. God help me, I think I've loved you since you yelled at me in that hospital office. You were so fierce, so brave, so determined to save your daughter. And every day since, you've amazed me with your strength and your kindness and the way you've turned my cold penthouse into a home. Olivia laughed, tears streaming down her face. So what do we do now? We tear up that ridiculous contract. Nathan kissed her again, softer this time. We stay married not because some legal document says we have to, but because we choose to. Every single day, we choose each other. What about the inheritance? I don't care about the money. I never did. Not really. I care about you. About Sophie. About the family we've become. Nathan pulled back to look at her, his blue eyes blazing with certainty. I was so focused on fulfilling my father's will that I forgot to actually live. You taught me how to do that again. How to open my heart and let people in. That's worth more than any inheritance. A new beginning, they returned to the ballroom, hand in hand, no longer pretending. The rest of the gala passed in a blur of introductions and conversations, but Olivia barely noticed. She was too aware of Nathan beside her, his hand never leaving hers. The way he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in his world. When they finally returned home, they checked on Sophie together. She was fast asleep in her bed, her stuffed bear tucked under one arm. Her color was better, her breathing steady and strong. The treatments were working. She was going to survive. She's going to have the most amazing life, Nathan whispered, brushing hair back from Sophie's forehead with surprising tenderness. We're going to make sure of it, Olivia repeated, loving the sound of that word. In the hallway outside Sophie's room, Nathan pulled Olivia close again. I need to say something. When I made that proposal at the hospital, I told myself it was just business. But I think part of me knew, even then, that you were special. That you would change everything. It changed my life too. You saved Sophie. You gave me a home. You taught me that it's okay to accept help, to lean on someone else. Olivia smiled up at him. You taught me that love can grow in the most unexpected places. No more contracts, Nathan said firmly. No more end dates or business arrangements. Just us, building a real marriage, a real family. For as long as we both shall live. For as long as we both shall live, Olivia agreed, sealing the promise with a kiss. That night, she didn't sleep in the guest room. She fell asleep in Nathan's arms in his bed, which would now be their bed. The contract marriage that started as a desperate solution to impossible problems had transformed into something neither of them had expected, something real and lasting and true. 6 months later, they renewed their vows in a small ceremony with Sophie as the flower girl, surrounded by the friends and family who mattered most. This time, there were flowers and music and joy. This time, when Nathan promised to love and cherish Olivia, he meant every word from the depths of his soul. And when Sophie went into full remission a year later, they celebrated as a family, grateful for second chances and unexpected blessings. The contract that brought them together was long forgotten, replaced by a love that would last a lifetime. Sometimes the best things in life come from the most desperate moments. Sometimes a business arrangement becomes the greatest love story of all. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to open your heart, you find that the person you were pretending with becomes the one you can't imagine living without. Nathan and Olivia had learned that lesson in the most beautiful way possible. And they spent the rest of their lives grateful for that rainy night when a desperate deal became the beginning of forever, the end.